We got Ohio State taking on Michigan, bruh. You're an Ohio State fan. How much pressure is on Ryan Day to win this game? Because you got smacked in the mouth by Michigan the past 2 years. I'm pretty sure a third straight loss is not going to sit well with you.
This is probably the most pressure Ryan Day has been under in his entire career as a Buckeyes head coach. And I even thought last year there was tremendous pressure just because I felt like that was ultimately the year. People can look at, the year where Ohio State got to the national championship versus Alabama. Personally, I thought Ohio State had a chance. It was pretty clear, Ryan Day younger. Alabama just was much more deeper. Ohio State was kind of top heavy. Even the Clemson year where, everyone talks about how, Ohio State, versus Clemson, they kind of got robbed by the officials and whatnot. I really just felt like Clemson was the more experienced team and they executed better. And ultimately, 2019 LSU was going to be tough to beat. But you look at last year, I mean, there really wasn't any excuses. I feel like that if Ohio State could have gotten past Georgia, I know Georgia's loaded, but one of those things where you had a lead, and I felt like you were just as good as Georgia. And let's be real, I don't think Ohio State was losing to TCU last year in the national championship. And it's one of those things where, at some point, people get mad at me when I, criticize, coaches for not winning right away. Listen, when you're at Ohio State, you get the best recruits. It's a big brand, and you have an advantage. Not like you're at little Arkansas or something like that, where you got to build it from the ground up. No, you inherited a great situation, and it's one of those things where the expectation is national championship every single year. And at some point, when is Ryan Day going to get over the hump? It seems like every year it's like, oh, Ohio State on paper looks like they can win a national championship, but we haven't quite gotten that result yet. And I think this year, the field's pretty wide open. Georgia obviously is pretty talented, but are they as good as last year? I would say no. You look at Michigan. I think that Ohio State is just as talented as Michigan. And I understand it's on the road this year, but I mean, I just think that it's one of those things where if Ryan Day cannot win a national championship within the next 2, at max 3 years, then you got to maybe start to wonder, is he ever going to go over the hump? So I think that this year, tremendous pressure because even if Ohio State doesn't win a national championship, Ohio State can lose every single game of their schedule. If you beat Michigan, you at least have done something right, okay? So this is a humongous game. It's a big rivalry. We know this. I personally think Ohio State is going to come out with a W. Even though I am an Ohio State fan, you can say I'm a little bit biased. But I just truly think that, Michigan, when you look at them, obviously a pretty physical football team. But the thing is, and it's not really necessarily Michigan's fault, but outside of Penn State, who have they really faced? And I think that early on in the game, Ohio State's speed and physicality, I think that they'll punch Michigan in the mouth from the jump. And I can see Ohio State getting out to a 10-0, maybe 14-0 lead early on. I think Michigan, as the game goes on, they'll kind of settle in and make adjustments. And I think that, honestly, Michigan being at home, I mean, from them too, but I think they will win and get 3 things that they. So I think I'm going to go Ohio State to win the game. But, I mean, it's one of those things where if Michigan can force Ohio State to play from behind, then that's really where Michigan is going to be at their best. So Ohio State, I feel like they have to punch first. I think they will, and I think that they'll hold on to the end. But, I mean, this is a game that could go either way, I feel like.
Ohio State really has to be able to stop the run in this game. We saw how physical Michigan was the last couple of years, and I don't think Michigan is equipped to win a game when the run game isn't at their disposal. If this becomes a game where they get one-dimensional offensively, you don't have the ground game there, you got to ask J.J. McCarthy to win this game for you. Against Ohio State's defense, I really like their chances. And Ryan Day, he should have these guys really amped up. It really kind of irritated me how pregame, you didn't really hear a raw speech out of James Franklin. Ryan Day needs to go out there and get Ray Lewis to come in and give a motivational speech. He should be fired up for this game. Pre-game, he should be saying, man, we finna come in here, we finna impose our will, and we finna lay these motherfuckers on the dirt. You feel me? Like, I need to see some fire. Like, I need to see some passion. Because when you're going against Michigan, I'm going to give these boys props. Like, they may be cheaters. You feel me? But at the end of the day, anytime you play Michigan, you're not just playing a football game for 60 minutes. Like, you're going to war. You feel me? Like, this is a hard-nosed football team. This is the toughest football team in college football. Like, they ran the football 30 damn times against Penn State. And Penn State at that time, going into that game, had the nation's best run defense. And we know what Michigan wants to do. They want to make it a smash mouth football game when they can run that bit as many times as possible. They want to keep your offense off the field. But when you look at how good Ohio State's defense has been under Jim Knowles, I really don't think they should get gashed and dominated up front the way they have in previous years. And even last year's game, it wasn't the way people say it was. You know, I do feel like it was a pretty competitive game up until, you know, the fourth quarter. That's when Michigan really started to pull away.
The score was a tad misleading.
What was that?
The score was a tad misleading.
Yeah, like, I just feel this year, Ohio State, with how good they are defensively, they should be able to make sure that they don't allow themselves to get gashed the way Penn State did in the run. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know how much you can trust J.J. McCarthy, but at the same time, how much can you really trust Kyle McCord? Because I don't think he's that good. I think he's worse than J.J. McCarthy. You feel me? But at the end of the day, the difference between J.J. McCarthy and Kyle McCord is that, yeah, Roman Wilson and the other receivers Michigan has, they're decent, but they don't have a Maserati Marvin Harrison. And it's like anytime Ohio State's offense gets into a bind, they just throw that shit to Marvin Harrison Jr. and he delivers. And Kyle McCord, you also got Emeka Egbuka. But this is one of these games where it really can go either way. You know, like, I honestly don't know who to pick. I know that your prediction, you're going with Ohio State because they're on the road and the fact that, you know, there's so much pressure to get this done. So you got Ohio State winning. Me, I'm probably going to take Ohio State also, simply for the fact that I can't see these boys losing 3 times in a row. And I really hope that they give it to Michigan because this fan base has pissed me off all season long. Like, why are you trying to act like you did nothing wrong? You got caught cheating. You do the crime, you got to do the time. People making it seem like the world's against them. Like, I hate how this team has this victim mentality, although I do like the fact that they've took this situation, they've rallied behind it, they've used it as motivation. But looking at it from a non-football standpoint, don't try to play victim when you know you were in the wrong. You were doing something that you had no business doing. Like, you never should have been trying to steal other team signs by recording it. You feel me? And I do feel like they deserve every bit of the punishment that they're going to receive for this. And I really hope that Ohio State can for once in the last couple of years, be able to shut these boys up, man, because I'm just really tired of hearing Michigan fans walk around they chest poked out like they're the best team in college football when they haven't won a national championship. They haven't even won a playoff game. You feel me? Like, this is the game that Michigan really has to back up everything that they've been talking. Because although they have beaten Penn State, you can probably say that they still haven't played nobody good because Penn State hasn't looked good. You feel me? And you probably could say the same thing about Ohio State. Like, their best win, you probably could say Penn State, Notre Dame, either one. But we're both taking the Buckeyes to get the win in this game. Now, let's segue to this, right?